double spaced, however. Single size.
12 point.
I'll even give you the font to use and the margins, so there's
Comic Sans.
no question on what it's supposed to be. Check.
Will the parameters be on Moodle?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you know the specific dates that we're meeting?
Yeah, I don't care. My original plan was to meet, well, I do care. Tuesday is the written exam. Tuesday is the day that we're doing it. I don't care if you want to meet Wednesday or Thursday for the presentation. That's up to you guys. If you have a vote on it, I'll decide if no one has a vote, but if you have a vote,
Will the paper be due the day that we?
you will be giving me the paper and the presentation.
How about Thursday?
Sounds good. Thursday it is.
Conjecture on.
What's that?
I have no hardship on that Thursday, but I'll reschedule it.
Can you just like go through next week's schedule, Tuesday? At
Yes.
What time do we need to be waiting?
Tuesday, workout is still on. You will be here in this room at 11 o'clock, where you will present your knowledge in a written form by answering questions correctly.
What happens if we don't answer them correctly?
He'll
That
answer.
that would introduce your knowledge base.
It would.
Then, you can do anything you want on Wednesday.
Anything?
On Thursday, the workout is still in place on Thursday morning.
I don't know.
It's a blood orange.
gross.
And then at 11 o'clock on Thursday, you'll be right here in this room to give wonderful support to all of your various classmates.
That's 34 minutes each.
Justin. And then, after that, that's on Thursday. And then after that, at the end of Thursday, all you have to worry about is whether or not you've completed all of that. As long as you have, then that's good.
That's the
There
next.
will be a part 2, of course, and the part 2 you can expect will be due sometime Thursday as well, so that goes without saying.
Cool. That's Friday.
In addition to our presentations, can we have a potluck brunch on that?
Yes.
You bet, you can do anything you want.
Sounds great.
Wait, so did I miss something? Are we having a practical?
See me for details.
Not on Saturday.
Not this term?
We don't have it.
Okay.
I mean,
That is, once you complete that, you can
You're gonna have to watch it.
Will not have scheduled.
Well, you're welcome.
Next week, you will not have scheduled
two
labs.
double stuff.
Next week, during finals week, you will not have scheduled lab time. Just the 2 days on Tuesday and Thursday.
Is there scheduled open lab time?
There will be scheduled open lab time. Good stuff.
Is,
that end
is,
of Friday or is that Friday morning? End of day Friday? Because there's labs on Friday.
Midnight. Tuesday night. 11:59.
but that includes instructors checkoffs, right?
Yeah, that's.
11:59.
So 11.
Let's get it done.
Will there be an instructor here during our regularly scheduled lab times?
During finals week. Is that
During-
what you're talking about?
yes.
Yes, I will be here, and we'll have hopefully others as well, but I will definitely be here during those times. All week long.
Is there a Thursday workout next week?
So
Spring
Finals
break.
week? Finals week?
Yes.
Yes.
Tuesday and Thursday workout. Nothing during spring break.
Except for you.
There may be stuff during spring break you want to.
Quinn
Uh,
said
it's kind of depends.
that you would probably still.
Perfect.
Is there any expectations that we can get ahead on for spring term or spring break?
Lots of.
It's gonna really suck, right?
What other questions related to this project?
When do we?
So, Derek will be here tomorrow morning, And there is a form already on Moodle. It's not available, and I don't think he's gonna make it available until tomorrow. But it'll give you the ability to select your 4 top options, whatever it happens to be. And any notes that you wanna give for that as well. And he will be here tomorrow to answer more questions about any of the agencies or give a little bit more feedback on any of those agencies as well. And answer some of the difficult questions that come from internship. Yeah. For example, I think he heard from Bend. Bend got a little frustrating for us in that they do 4896s, but for interns, they prefer to do 24s. So instead of doing 48 hours every 96, you do 24 hours
Every 6 days.
every 5 days. So it's a little bit more challenging on a schedule over there, and I don't know if that's because they want to give their crew a break, or if they think that's all an intern can
It says on
handle.
the paper that it's because generally they'll do 24 hours on an ambulance and then 24 hours on that.
Great, so we originally had talked a little bit about the fact that, well, we talked to them about that, and so they came back and that's what they said. So, in any event, that might go into people's decisions on where they want to go to. Good, but he will be here tomorrow, and you will give all your choices tomorrow based on any questions that you have for him. And then within a couple of days after that, we'll decide for almost everybody. As long as, well, I mean, we sort of fighting to death over one particular place, it might take us longer to figure out which one he's going to do.
I'm probably doing more OLS in spring.
Again, may have your leg wrestle. Or what's that finger?
Is that what it
Thing. May have to have you guys. Yes.
I assume you're
I was like, oh, you're.
Yes, okay, so yes and no. Just so you can pre-plan, the spring schedule is almost the same with a slight modification to that. But it's almost exactly the same. You're still gonna have the same workouts on Tuesday and Thursday. You'll have the same discussion times on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. And the total lab times are the same, but there'll be a slight difference in how those labs are done. Wednesday is exactly the same. Wednesday doesn't change at all. Tuesday and Thursday do alter just a little bit, and that is that on Tuesday, who is the Tuesday group in here?
Group 1.
Group 1, okay. So on Tuesday, so this is what our schedule looks like, and the slight modification to it. Right now, you meet Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You meet from 7 to 10, from 11 to 1:30. Yes, y'all recognize this schedule?
Yep.
Hopefully you recognize this schedule. And then the labs right here are 11:30 to 2:30 and 2:30 to 5:30. Yes?
Yep.
And we'll call this group 1 and group 2. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. And then over here, don't write this down. Over here, this is what the group was. Yes? And this was group 1, and this was group 2, right? Everybody
Yes.
recognize that? Okay, there will be a slight change in what we're doing on Tuesday and Thursday, in that both groups are meeting on Tuesday and both groups are meeting on Thursday, but for a shorter time period for each of those. So on the Tuesday, group 2 is actually going to go first. So group 2, that's a G. Group 2 is going to meet from basically give or take, a 2 to 4, including cleanup time. and group one will meet in the second half of that, and that'll be flipped on the Thursday. On the Thursday, the group one will do the 2 to 4 time, and the group two will do the second half of that.
Is there something different we're doing in the labs, or is it just like a,
Something different. You're not
How to-
necessarily doing
how to phrase it?
something different so much as instead of having a longer lab, we need to meet with both groups under both of those to get everything that we want to accomplish done after we've done the discussions on those. So,
that makes sense?
so group two didn't go so far into the afternoon on Tuesday, so you'll be going first to still be able to get out as soon as possible. And group one didn't go as far into the afternoon on that one, so you'll meet first to get out as soon as you possibly can. But we'll meet with both groups on those 2 days.
Is that so we can like do what we did in discussion, we both do in lab that same day?
Yes.
That makes sense.
And so that we don't have quite as much disparity between the two groups as we have right now because of the Tuesday-Thursday split. So, good?
Clinicals for next term. Are we gonna have to pull more ER shifts? I'm gonna have to put more L&D and
OR.
OR.
And peds.
It's all objective based. So we would only expect you to pull ER shifts if you still have some objectives that need to be met there.
What were the
IVs that
objectives?
IVs that need to be done, or patient assessments that need to be done, or certain patient types that need to be accomplished. So we'll have some time that's in there, but most of our time is gonna be spent trying to get through OR and the labor and delivery stuff, that kind of thing.
What were the objectives we were supposed to meet in the ER?
Everything that's on your phys out,
Fantastic, I'll relook at that.
yeah.
Can't we get some of those during our internship though?
Mhm.
So how do we know?
You can, your internship counts towards those numbers as well, but you have to recognize that internship is not gonna give you as many numbers in some of those categories as other things, right? You're not gonna have 196 patient contacts on your internship. You
We
have
need
to-
196 patient contacts?
And I'm just pulling numbers out of my butt.
Okay,
I'm just saying, you're not gonna have that, the same patient contacts in there, so.
So for our clinicals next term, is it a 6-week window as per like how we're doing for class, or is it 10 or 11 weeks as it is for our?
Oh, you have the same window,
So 10 weeks?
all 10 weeks, you just have the added benefit of the second half having
No class time?
potential for a higher number of times that you can get into the
Okay,
hospitals and such.
that's,
We have class time for the full term though, next spring?
Okay, so good, so this is gonna,
that's why I asked that
That's
question.
this is going on for 6 weeks.
okay.
Your final exams are basically going to be in week 6. That's when the final exams and final stuff is gonna happen, somewhere in and around week 6, okay? We will continue to maintain, don't freak just yet. We're gonna continue to maintain the Wednesdays throughout the rest of the term, but you won't necessarily have to come in on every Wednesday. We'll maintain the Wednesdays as a constant the entire time, so that for any lab stuff that still needs to be accomplished, we'll accomplish it on that time. Any things that we need to discuss with the group as a total, we'll filter it in on those Wednesdays. If we have guest speakers in the second half, like for example, both our OBGYN and Dr. Polson, who had to change their schedule this past term, are still planning to come in the spring. We'll earmark them only to a Wednesday, so that that's the day that we would pull everyone else in, depending on when they can free up their schedule in the spring.
What happens if we're on internship on those Wednesdays?
So if you are already on your internship at some point, then you wouldn't necessarily come in on that day, right? Because your internship, whenever you start your internship, you're starting your internship. But there may still be things that we have to accomplish before you can start your internship, and we will do that on Wednesdays when we have to.
But we have the full, 11 weeks to make sure we have all of our hospital clinical time
Correct.
done.
That's correct.
Do you have to have,
Sweet.
so like if I do my internship, can I still, and I'm like, it becomes apparent that I need a couple more patients in a certain patient type that's hard to see in the field, can I then sign up for a couple extra
Yes.
hospital shifts?
That's exactly what we would do.
would that extend into the summer for hospital
Yes.
rotations?
Yes.
Okay, that's however long it takes.
Yep. In addition to that, we'll have another handbook for you that's related to the internship stuff. And there's a few things that you should be aware about the internship, or just stick in the back of your head and know. Getting into the internship, one, there are assurances that we have to have before you walk into your internship. Things like you can start IVs on live people. Things like you've been able to intubate a live person properly, right? If there is any sort of delay or anything related to you for any reason whatsoever that doesn't get you started on your internship in a timely fashion, please understand that we absolutely may ask you to come in to do something prior to actually going. Or if for some reason, like for example, you've started your internship, things are going fantastic. You're doing a great internship, and somewhere along the way, half-ish way through the internship, you blow out your knee and have to have medical coverage.
Oh, boy.
And
That's
in the
home.
process of doing that, you obviously had to stop your internship for a window of time while you were doing that. Before you'd be able to start up your internship again, you might be required to come in, depending on how long that was, you might be required to come in and perform skills or knowledge assessments or something to that effect, or we might ask you to go back to the ER for a shift or two to get back into whatever it is before we send you back into that internship again. Does that make sense? So just understand that may be a case. It might not affect anybody. You might all start your internship, get through your internship, and end your internship, having never had to do that. But I don't want you to be surprised if we say, Dustin, we need you to do 2 shifts in the ER before we get you going back again and get evaluations from that. Or, Dustin, we just need you to come in and do a couple of IVs on us and see where you're at, making sure you're set, or whatever the case might be. You need to come in and do some innovations on the mannequins so we can see where you're at. Good? In addition to that, the evaluations and the feedback that you get on the internships will play a role in what we need you to do as well. So for example, if we've got a preceptor that is sending in evaluations that keep saying, yeah, Noah's really struggling. He's struggling because he's not able to do this, or he's doing this poorly, or this or that, we may say, hey, Noah, we need you to come in and do a couple of scenarios on this so we can see exactly what's going on. Or we need you to come in and do this kind of skill. Or they might say, yeah, he did an intubation in the field and like shattered the patient's teeth and all that kind of stuff, in which case it's like, okay, come back in, Noah. We need to do some remediation. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But that'll all be written up in the handbook so that you know that that's a possibility, but just make sure you understand that that's a possibility.
So
Go ahead.
Would there be a reason that the number of hours and or the number of patient contacts that we have for internship would change? As an increase because of lack of skill or lack of knowledge?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There would be no reason, once you start the internship, there would be no reason why the hours and or the numbers, the specific types of calls would ever go up as a minimum requirement. Absolutely, if we are, so here are the options for what'll happen at internship, at the end of internship, right? At the end of internship, as we're looking over all of the information that you have, the decisions that are being made are you outright failed the internship, you outright passed the internship, or we don't have enough data to say that you've passed, but also not enough to fail you either, in which case you have to show us more. Does that make sense? That would be the time that there might be an increase in the number of hours that the minimum hours you're doing. Also remember that your internship is a minimum call and a minimum hour requirement. Good? So the minimum hour requirement of 350 hours is the minimum number of hours you're going to put on your internship no matter what. The minimum number of calls of 50 ALS calls, 40 of which are very specific as to what patient type you have to have, are also there. So if you get to 350 hours and still haven't met all of the patient requirements that are mandated by law, you continue your internship. In addition to that, if you've met all your patient requirements in the first week and a half of your internship, you still have to put in the minimum 350 hours. Does that make sense? It's a minimum under both of those circumstances. Most people get their calls in somewhere around 400 hours, give or take, by about 400 hours. We had one person last year, unfortunately, that went to almost 800 hours. And to no fault of his. He was fantastic, he had fantastic reviews, he just couldn't draw a respiratory card, ever. He had
He
4
was
of them.
unlucky.
It took him 300 hours to get 4 respiratory calls. That never happens, well, it did.
So-
Doesn't happen very often.
If that happens, should we take up more ER shifts
Nope, you can't. Those are specific.
to
Yeah,
ambulance?
so,
Pick team lead.
so when you look in FISDAP, understand that, like, FISDAP has it listed as, I think, 196 medical calls, medical patients that you're gonna see. And it's broken up into stroke and, stroke, TIA, abdominal, ANS, cardiac, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And, maybe you had 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, 10 here, blah, 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 right? These are related to everything you do in the class. Some of these are related to scenarios that we do. Some of them are related to the stuff that you do in the hospitals. Some of it's related to your internship. Does that make sense? Okay. Everything you do on your internship counts towards these total numbers that you have to obtain. Does that make sense? But these numbers don't account to your internship. So for example, state law requires you to have 50, state law requires a minimum number of calls that you have to do in your internship as well. So you're gonna do 50 ALS calls at minimum. 10 of those are gonna be cardiac. 10 of those are going to be respiratory. Good? If you already have 10 cardiac calls, which some of you have more than that already, based on your complaints that you've seen in the hospitals, if you have 10 cardiac calls already, you still have to do 10 on the ambulance. Does that make sense? And these 10 will increase that number, but they are independent. You have to have done those in the field. Good? For however long it takes for you to get those done, whatever that happens to be. Good? So unfortunately for the one student last year, he was such a good sport about it, he had 4 left. And it took him 300 hours to get those 4. Because it just was the luck of the draw. He was working a full-time shift, so it wasn't like he wasn't working a normal thing, it was just nobody had respiratory problems in Eugene.
What agency was he with?
LFA,
And it was 800 hours
total time. Yeah, because he'd already put in his normal internship time before that.
Times 2.
And just had, well, that was before he started in on these. And so, at 400 hours, it was like, oh, well, I only have 4 left, this should take me
2 shifts?
2 shifts. And it took him 12, or I don't know, however many shifts, it took him forever.
12, 48-hour
now?
shifts.
So that's just the luck of that, unfortunately. So, good. In any event, that's how that pans out. Good? On the internship calls. Good?
We're pretty much all starting our internships almost at different times then, I think, the date. Because if like some of us are like, still just can't get our innovations in, or babies or whatever.
Yeah, there are certain things that you have to have accomplished before you can even start before you can start at all in the internship. Everybody should have that done by the end of spring. Some of you will have that done, some of you already have that done.
That's
By
our,
the
or are
6th
close to
week or
having that
the
done.
11th week?
The 11th week.
Okay.
You
Is
have
that-
you have the entire term to be able to do that.
is,
Some of you though are awful close to already having those numbers to be able to start moving into your internship. So some of you will start mid-spring. Some
What
of you will
numbers are
start-
those? Is that our three vaginal
All
births?
Yeah, all the minimum, yes.
And 12
That's for L&D,
innovations.
but you also have your IVs.
Right.
And you have your 12 innovations. Right?
Innovations, L&D,
And
IVs, is that our three?
Pediatric assessments, adult assessments, that kind of stuff.
Okay. And that's all on
I have a
FISDAP?
question in my head.
Got it? Okay.
Like, if we need more peds, we'll just do another ped ship.
Yeah.
Did we figure out if we could do a rotation with a pediatrician?
Question's been asked, and we already have a contract in place with a group that does it, so it's just finding out whether or not the pediatrician is getting a response back from the pediatricians to find out whether or not they actually are willing to do it.
Are you looking up what we need, Blake?
No.
He's probably checking baseball.
He's watching baseball videos right now.
Are you?
Football.
Sorry, I meant lacrosse. It's the same thing.
You like lacrosse too, Blake? That's
Okay, good. Any other questions?
So the people who can't play.
Everybody okay?
damn.
Okay.
Alright.
We're done.
Great.
Good time.
We're not gonna be here all night.